As one of the few mid-size unibody pickup trucks on the market, the Honda Ridgeline is a very important vehicle for consumers who basically realize that they need the utility of a bed, but they don't want to deal with the sloppy driving dynamics that's associated with a body-on-frame vehicle. Now for 2024, the second generation Ridgeline, which was introduced back in 2017, gets another round of updates, and today I'm in a studio just outside of Long Beach, California, with this brand new 2024 Ridgeline Trail Sport. As you can see, it got more capability this year and some new tech features on the inside. So now that we're finally seeing the new Ridgeline in person, let's go ahead and take a first look. So before we start talking about the refresh styling this year, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, unlike so many other competitors, which only come with like a 4-cylinder or hybrid powertrain, the Ridgeline is one of the few vehicles out there that still continues to offer a V6, and it's a very good engine. Now, as you can see underneath all this plastic covering, you're gonna find the tried and true naturally aspirated J35. So it's a 3.5 liter single overhead cam iVTEC V6 engine with direct injection. It still makes 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, and it's hooked up with a 9-speed automatic transmission. All Ridgelines come standard with the company's iVTM4 intelligent variable torque management, all-wheel drive system, and Honda didn't have any specific fuel economy figures just yet, but I believe the 2023 model is rated at around 19 in the city, 24 on the highway, something like that. And Ridgelines are still very capable vehicles. You should be able to tow a maximum of 5,000 pounds. With this car, it'll carry nearly 1,600 pounds of payload in the actual bed. And as this truck sits, it should weigh in at around 4,500 pounds. Now, closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling, which, as you guys know, this generation Ridgeline was introduced back in 2017. It's technically built on the same light truck architecture that underpins the previous generation Honda Pilot. So the Ridgeline is due for a full redesign, but this is, again, the second refresh. But in 2021, they gave it a much more masculine, more boxier design. You can see the grille got much larger. The Trail Sport has its own unique gray finish with the Trail Sport badging there. It's got this kind of gloss black horizontal line that cuts between the headlight and the grille, and you can see the headlights. All Ridgelines come standard with full LED headlights, although they're only an LED low beam. You have an LED daytime running light, and then you also have halogen style high beams, and then down here you can see your turn signals are incandescent. You do have LED fog lights down here, which are kind of buried at the lower front fascia. The Trail Sport in general, you can see, has a more rugged appearance to it. No actual metal skid plates, but you can see the front fascia here was designed to look like that. And then the Trail Sport model is also the only Ridgeline that includes an actual skid plate. The skid plate is over here on this side. It covers the oil pan, and Honda says that'll help to protect the actual components of the engine and whatnot when you're actually off-roading in this vehicle. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see the Ridgeline is, again, a unibody pickup truck, but it's also a mid-sized truck. So at an overall length of 210 inches long, this is about a little bit shorter than something like the Toyota Tacoma or the Chevrolet Colorado and GMC Canyon. Its wheelbase is around 125 inches long. So again, it basically almost looks like the previous generation Pilot with a bed, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can see the big change with the Trail Sport model. This is the first Ridgeline trim to get actual all-terrain tires. So you can see Honda put a General Grabber all-terrain tire. It's an actual all-terrain, which is going to give you the grip that you need if you guys are off-roading. You can see it also has a new shark gray style 5-spoke alloy wheel. It's an 18-inch wheel riding on a 245 by 60 R18 tire. Honda says they didn't upgrade the suspension or anything like that. It still has the same ground clearance at just under 8 inches. You can see the wheel arch trim here is unpainted. You have power folding black painted side mirrors. Honda says they put power folding mirrors standard on the Trail Sport for when you're navigating a tight trail and you need to actually basically retract the window or the mirrors to get through a tighter trail. You can see a sunroof is included on the Trail Sport version. I like how they also kind of go with the gloss black around the window trim, or the black around the window trim as opposed to the chrome. You can see the rest of the look of the Ridgeline is very interesting because most pickup trucks, as you guys know, they have like kind of an area here where you have a separation between the bed and the cab. Because this is a unibody design, Honda again kind of created that look with this kind of piece there, with that rubber piece. But again, this is a unibody with an independent suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes. You can see looking at this angle of the Ridgeline, this is where it has its own unique look to it compared to obviously the old Pilot and whatnot. And then looking at the rear, you can see all Ridgelines this year now get the kind of Ridgeline badge stamped into the actual tailgate. That's a very popular trend that a lot of manufacturers are doing with their pickup trucks to give it a more rugged look. The taillights are kind of an LED combination with an incandescent for the reverse lights and the turn signals, but the taillight and brake lights are LEDs. You still have the signature dual outlet exhaust back here, which looks good. And then you can see towing package is included on this model. It'll tow up to 5,000 pounds. And then so many Ridgeline owners are loving the dual action tailgate. So you can basically still open this up in the traditional sense where the bed is comprised of a composite material. So it doesn't need, you don't need to have like a bed extent or a bed liner or anything like that, because this is basically rust proof. It's very durable. Honda says you can carry a maximum of 1,583 pounds in the actual bed. It's a 5-foot bed. That's the only way you can get the Ridgeline in this configuration. And then if you want to open it up here from the side, you can see there's another handle here. This opens up and swings out to allow you to get much better access into the actual bed because you don't have the tailgate in the way. And then you also have access to this really nifty underfloor storage, which Honda says there's around 7.3 cubic feet of total storage space in here. You can also use this as a cooler because there's actually a drain plug. You can put your dirty, muddy shoes in here and whatnot after a long day at the trail. You also get a temporary spare tire, as you can see, with the jack and whatnot. There is some lighting here in the bed, and then looks like there's not any power outlets, but if you open this up here, you can see there's an additional little bit of storage over there. So overall, the bed is certainly still usable, and I still love the fact that it offers a dual action design, or dual function design, along with the hidden storage that's lockable underneath the bed. Now moving into the interior of the 2024 Ridgeline, you can see just like other Honda models that have the Trail Sport trim level, the interior got some upgrades this year in the form of these new black seats, which have the contrast orange stitching, and the Trail Sport that's embossed into the actual, or embroidered into the actual head restraint, which looks good. The stitching carries over into the steering wheel, and you can see here the door panel has a nice soft touch material with more of that contrasting stitching. It has kind of like a black aluminum look trim, plastic door handles. You have 2-person memory seats. Window controls are one touch for the front, and then for the rear, they're one touch. They're not one touch up or down. You can see the seats are a 10-way power adjustment, which again, they are heated. If you wanted ventilated seats, I believe you have to go step it up to the Black Edition trim. This model here, the Trail Sport, basically replaces the old RTLE in the lineup, so it's above the RTL, but below the Black Edition version. Now with nearly 8 inches of ground clearance, the step-in, as you can see, is pretty much what you expect it to be. The steering wheel looks pretty much the same as the older Ridgeline. You can see it offers a manual tilt and telescoping arrangement. As I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. Remember, this is built on their light truck architecture, the same one that underpins the previous generation Pilot. Now you can see here, the tech in this vehicle has also been upgraded. You now have a 7-inch digital cluster here in the instrument panel, which again is a huge upgrade from the pre-refresh model, which had an older system that was pulled out of something like the previous generation Honda Civic. You can see the left side here is a digital tachometer, and then you have an analog speedometer. You can't get a fully digital display, but you can see that is a newer instrument panel that you see in some other Hondas. And then over here, you can see Honda also upgraded the infotainment system. This is now the 9-inch touchscreen head unit. That's the same one that's in the new Honda Pilot. So you can see it has their latest software, although not the new Google Android operating system in the new Accord, but it now includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I really love the fact that the graphics have been improved. It's really quick and snappy. And I also like the fact that it's now an inch larger versus the pre-refresh model. So this is an improvement over the 2024 Passport that I showed you guys earlier this month, or earlier last month. It still had the older 8-inch system and the older infotainment system, or digital instrument panel display. In terms of the materials, you can see it's still the same soft touch material with the faux stitching. Some faux black aluminum looking trim here, plastic trim here. You have dual zone automatic climate control. You have 3-stage heated seats. Again, I believe if you want cooled seats, the Black Edition may have that feature. And then you have a wireless phone charging pad. You have your transmission selector here for the push button with the 9-speed auto. You have your different trail modes here where you can cycle between normal snow, mud, and sand. It changes the programming of the traction control and the all-wheel drive system from their variable torque management all-wheel drive system. You can see there's some ambient lighting in here in the actual cup holders, and the center console here was also redesigned. They used to have these 2 armrests that folded down on both sides, kind of like a minivan, but now they've gone with this wide center console, which is big, it's deep. It also allows you to put a lot of items in there. You can hide it away. You have your 2 USB charging ports, an A and a C port, which is nice. The seats are still very comfortable and supportive, and this vehicle still feels very wide. It feels a little bit more like a minivan to me, but it gives you a nice commanding view of the road, and you have great visibility throughout the vehicle. You have LED map lighting, and along with this standard sunroof, which does open up. It has a little sunshade if you guys want. And then the glove compartment here you can see is not damped or lined with felt, but it's a bin style and offers a good amount of storage space, which is great. But overall, you can see the cabin is pretty familiar, but Honda did put some of their latest tech in it, especially when you look at the infotainment system, which is just a big upgrade from the pre-refresh model. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat of the Ridgeline. You can see the space back here is still among the bigger in the class, and that's because this vehicle is built off of a mid-size light truck unibody platform. Now you can see here, there's obviously a bench, so this will carry up to 5 people. You can pull this handle up, and you can see you'll find some very deep or hidden storage that you can access underneath this seat here, which is great. And then in terms of the leg room, Honda says there's just over 36 inches, which is actually around 3 to 4 inches more than what you're going to find in a lot of the competition. So if you need a mid-size pickup truck that can actually have, comfort for full-size adults or a car seat, the Ridgeline certainly is one of the few out there. You can see material choices back here are hard touch plastic, but it is padded right here where you'd rest your elbow. And then you also have cup holders and a lot more storage over here on the door panels. As I get inside the rear seat, you can see this is not where I have the seat to drive, but for somebody my height, I love the kind of elevated seating with this car. The rear seat definitely sits up higher versus the front, so you can kind of see over the front nicely, which is great. When I get in and shut the door, you can see the floor is completely flat back here. The vehicle is wide, so you can easily fit 3 across. You have rear seat air vents. You have an actual 12 volt, although it looks like there's a big empty panel here where you could have USB charging ports or heated rear seats, but I don't believe the Ridgeline offers it. You have 2 storage cubbies, and then you can see here, fold this down, there's an armrest with 2 cup holders. So overall, in terms of mid-size trucks, the Ridgeline definitely still offers one of the biggest back seats in the segment, which is going to count for a lot for you families out there. So even though the current generation Ridgeline is starting to get a little old in the segment, for 2024, Honda has attempted to keep this model fresh by introducing some new tech features, introducing this new Ridgeline Trail Sport, which is the most off-road capable version, and it's definitely showing in the sales. Honda managed to sell around 42,000 units last year, which is actually their best sales figure ever for the Ridgeline. So it kind of shows that a lot of people are realizing that they need a truck bed, but they also don't want to deal with the cumbersome driving dynamics of an actual body-on-frame. And because this car also has the biggest back seat and a very usable bed with the in-floor storage, it makes this Ridgeline certainly more appealing. Now for 2024, the Trail Sport model is definitely going to be for those of you who want to go a little bit further off the beaten path with the all-terrain tires. It doesn't have any more ground clearance, but it does have the skid plates underneath, and it also has a look to it that is certainly more unique. I also love this diffuse sky pearl color, which again was first introduced on the Pilot Trail Sport. It's now available on the Passport, and it's only exclusive to the Trail Sport trim. So I think this color, along with this Trail Sport model, certainly is a trim level that the Ridgeline has needed. Now, if you guys are interested in purchasing the 2024 Ridgeline, they are heading to dealerships next month, so in November, and Honda wasn't ready to talk about pricing just yet. The current generation Ridgeline starts at just under $39,000 for the base Sport. Because this model is going to be replacing the RT-LE, I'm going to go ahead and estimate that it should start in the $45,000 range. I'm not entirely sure, that's just my guesstimate because that's where the RT-LE was priced. The Black Edition Ridgeline for 2023 is around $47,000. So again, considering the marketplace and how expensive other pickup trucks can be, the Ridgeline is certainly in a unique positioning, which is probably why Honda has been seeing sales increase, because a lot of consumers are really starting to appreciate the fact that it has car-like driving dynamics, but it also has more capability this year, better tech this year, and it also just has a much more rugged look. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Trail Sport. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.